I'm Sharon Calvert, and I'm here with Charlotte Greenberg and Terry Kemple. And we just watched today's County Commission meeting where they discussed, what do they do now with the Go Hillsborough debacle? And it was very interesting. I guess the good thing about it is I think things are changing. It's unfortunate that it's taken a year, because really where they are now is where they should have started at, and perhaps they wouldn't have gotten into the mess that they did. But I see that there are some changes that may occur, including looking at other options. I mean, we were trying to ask that a long time ago. You don't put all your eggs in a basket for transportation with sales tax. But I'm going to turn it over to Charlotte and just let her make a few comments about what she heard today.
What I heard today was kind of interesting because to me, the auditor, with his remark, tore up his Declaration of Independence, so to speak, when he said the term referendum is benign. That was his editorial comment. And you have a county auditor who's claiming to be independent tell you that the term referendum is benign. So that, for me, kind of set the tone for how independent the county auditor is. I also see Parsons at work just the way they were in Dade. This is how they operate. They set the sales tax, they know what they want, and then they back into it with what maybe they can give you or maybe not. Because you see in Dade, what they said they were going to give, they didn't give. At the very last minute, they changed the direction of Metro Rail, and instead of going north, it went to Hialeah, where nobody ever went. They also had an oversight committee in Dade. Interesting that Commissioner Hagan should mention that, because the Oversight Committee in Dade was a joke, and I have articles talking about Metro Rail trickery and how the Oversight Committee was simply an illusion created to make people think that something was being oversighted. I don't believe anything is going to change here. I think they're going to head down that track right over that cliff, and the referendum is going to lose, and they're never going to learn because they're so beholden to the campaign contributors who are so very generous and so very involved in this whole debate.
And my name is Terry Kemple, and I lead a local Christian ministry community issues council whose purpose really is to bring focus and educate people from the church primarily, but people in the community about the issues that are going on. I think the thing that really resonated most with me today is, first of all, we had a proclamation, an anti-bullying proclamation that was presented. Then we had Commissioner Hagan bullying we citizens who really have a concern about this and accusing us of bullying the county commission. So it's become so much of a circuitous, humorous casting aspersions on us because we don't agree with the way that they want to do things. I just don't think that that's appropriate. I don't think it's fair. If I was to stand up there and say things like that about them, they would shut off the microphone or the police would haul me out.
And one thing I think that hasn't been brought up is even within that CCNA contract that they procured for what really was a marketing campaign, in my opinion, there's been some violations of that. They were not forthcoming with a public records request that I submitted, and that is a violation of our statute 119. And they also, the Go Hillsborough, according to the CCNA contract, cannot submit press releases without prior written consent from the county. And to my knowledge, I have not been able to get the prior written consent for the press release that went out August 17th, that behind closed doors, and yes, that was done behind closed doors, brought back the 1 cent sales tax into these last meetings of Go Hillsborough. So I really want to thank Stacy White. I think he was on the right track. Yes. The county has all this information. And the proprietary software, they had to have already been using it because the cost information is on the displays that in the meetings that you're going to. So really, what is going on right now? What was astounding to me is the actual dollar amount that we saw going to the PR firm. Between $500,000 and $600,000 of the $1.35 million. It's an astounding amount of work. And I do not believe, and I will stand on that CCNA contract process, procurement process, intended for professional engineering services was ever intended to be a marketing and electioneering work. And I also would like to know, where is the precedence of any other county in the state of Florida using that procurement process to do a marketing campaign to push putting a tax hike on the ballot.
In my comments in the commission meeting, I thank Commissioner White for standing opposed to the referendum, opposed to the tax. I didn't realize at the time that Commissioner Hagan also stood opposed to the tax, or I would have thanked him as well. Higginbotham stood opposed to a tax, or I would have thanked him as well.
On the CCNA issue, I was chair of the Consultants Review Committee in Broward County, and we never would have allowed a public relations effort or a tax referendum effort to come before our group, the Consultants Review Committee. We use the CCNA. We never would have allowed that to happen. We only interviewed engineers, professionals, never parsons for subject for something like that.
So I guess where we are is they voted to allow the sheriff's investigation to go on, and the county will kind of sit back and wait for that. The timeline of that is unknown. So with that unknown timeline, and I cannot imagine that that gets done before the end of the year, I do not see how any commission can vote to put any referendum on a ballot in 2016. It's unfortunate we got to this position, but I hope that next time that our county commissioners, who are the last defense to protect the taxpayers, will listen to their constituents when they bring up serious questions and address them early on in the game. And I'm Sharon Calvert. I'm down at County Center, and this is Eye on Tampa Bay. Thank you.